Blessed good night to one all, and welcome to DLP TV. You vibes, we having a conversation, some conversations with young, creative business owners. And tonight, as I sit here before you, it's a message of transformation, of innovation, and of confidence in the talents of the people of Barbados. We must confront a critical truth. Our economic stability cannot and must not rest on a single pillar. It is time to diversify. And one of the most powerful yet underutilized tools at our disposal is the orange economy, aka the creative economy. This sector includes our artists, our DJs, our musicians, our actors, our video game players, our digital creators, our graphic designers, our young entrepreneurs, young cultural entrepreneurs. It represents the soul of our youth. Do you know that this industry is a multi-trillion-dollar global industry? Not multi-thousand, not multi-million, not multi-billion, but a multi-trillion-dollar industry. Let me be clear. The orange economy is not a luxury. It is a necessity at this time. It's not a side hustle. You ain't just doing a thing. It is a serious economic engine. And this is around the world. Creative industries contribute to up to 10% of GDP in some countries and employ millions. Why can't Barbados tap into this industry, tap into this action? Why can't we? This is a sector that empowers the youth. It breaks down barriers to entry. It encourages innovation, expression, and resilience. Also, importantly, it is sustainable, digitally scalable, and resistant to automation. So, what must we do? We must support creative education and digital literacy, from coding to cinema, from animations to cultural management. Our schools and institutions must be tailor-fitted to reflect the future of work. The government must offer startup capital and easy access to intellectual property protections. The government must become a true, genuine partner, not just talk the talk and a lot of buzzwords, but they must walk the walk. The government must strongly support using entrepreneurs who are creating content, not just consuming the said content, but creating it. Reliable internet access must be available in every parish, and our state-of-the-art cultural centers. Let us utilize the community centers. Let us utilize those. Don't let them just take dust, well, get a lot of dust on them and cobweb, but let us utilize them. We need the tools and spaces where talent can thrive. Our culture is our brand, our music, our fashion, our stories. They are export ready. Let's build creative trade partnerships and promote our creators on the world stage. My friends, viewers, family, this is not about copying, as they say, the big up countries or following their model. This is about embracing our own creativity, heritage, and our driven innovation, youth-driven innovation. The orange economy gives us a chance to tell our story on terms and the story into property, prosperity, paper, and pride. Those things are extremely important. Let us invest not only in hotels, and never again may we invest in we gathering, but in dreams and ideas. Let us build an economy where talent is not wasted and every voice has a platform. The future belongs to the bold, the creative, and the diverse. The future belongs to those who dare to imagine and build something better. Let us build that future together. Thank you. And with that being said, and further ado, I would like to introduce our first guest. She's a creative. She is the future. Miss Gabrielle Rock. Good night. Blessed love. How are you doing? Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Pleasure. She is now. You the youth, you are now. So we can begin, I just want you to introduce yourself and the business in which you own.
Okay, well, good night, Ramon. Good night to everyone who is watching. My name is Gabrielle Rock.
Yes.
And I've always been a creative.
Yes.
So the business I own is Goldilocks Design. And I do a lot, but I mostly do decor for mostly birthdays. But I'm also a qualified graphic designer. So I do posters and t-shirts. So if you need me for election time, I'm here.
Yes. But see, well, obviously you own your own business and so forth. Goldilocks Designs, where that name came from? Goldilocks Designs. Yes.
Well, it was a childhood nickname that I had because of my hair.
Okay.
And honestly, I had a hard time finding a name. So I just went with my nickname.
Beautiful. Yeah. So when did you realize you were creative? When you realized, what? Look, I can do this thing. I can draw, I can do graphic designing. I don't know what else you do, but I know that it's in that realm. So when did you realize that?
So my mother told me that I could paint and I knew colors before I knew the alphabet, before I could speak. I saw from the very beginning. So my mother is an art teacher.
Okay.
So, and I have come from a family of artists. And then my father is in construction as well. So I've been surrounded by creatives. So I just thought that everybody was creative until they went to school. But I knew that was what I wanted to do, whatever it was. I just wanted to create.
Oh, beautiful. And that's, as I said, I always say that's an area, boy, that I'm very interested. I love creatives. Like no other business. So what was the moment that made you say, like, I have to pursue this seriously? This is something that I serious about.
I knew it always. It just like it wasn't that I want to pursue this seriously. I always knew that whatever I do, I wanted to do in this area. My problem was I do so much like music, baking. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to do creativity.
Oh, well, music. You mentioned music. What instruments can you play?
Well, I used to play the flute when I was in secondary school, and a little bit of steel pan, and then I used to sing as well. But that was between like my teen years to my early 20s. I don't do that as much now.
Okay, you don't do it as much now. Okay, because those instruments, very difficult, very difficult to play. Well, in my opinion, pardon me.
You just have to practice.
You just have to practice.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it a situation you can read the music, or you can play? They say play by ear. That's what they say. Play by ear.
I began by playing by ear, and then as I practiced, it was read music. But because I haven't done it in so long, when I look back at the sheet, what used to look easy isn't easy anymore.
Well, isn't that easy?
That's why I say just practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like an all-rounder to me. it's all you're sober, as I say, it's all all around, but that is fantastic. You're just naturally gifted where your hands and so forth is concerned. So, okay, so who were your early influences? Who you would say were your early influences? I know you mentioned that I think your family is very versed in different areas and so forth. But which particular person you would say would have influenced you in a serious way? Which particular?
I don't think I have a particular person that that influenced me per se. Like my mother used to paint, and I enjoy that. When I was younger, I wanted to be an animator.
Okay.
So just because I used to watch a lot of Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon.
A lot of Cartoon Network.
So I know everybody can hear me, but yes, a lot of Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Dr. Seuss, even reading books and being an illustrator.
Yeah.
So those things kind of just impact
Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, Dr.
Seuss. Okay.
Disney.
Dr. Seuss. Okay. So, question: have you faced any major failures or setbacks? And if so, how did you overcome them?
I guess a major setback I had, and sometimes I still deal with, is like I have low iron where I'm anemic.
Okay.
So sometimes I don't have as much energy as I like.
Okay.
And focus wise. So I really have to push myself. How I dealt with it. That's where my faith in God comes from.
The faith in God, yes.
Like really, God is my strength.
Of course.
And also loved ones, that helped me in times where I really couldn't work. They really helped me a lot.
Yeah. I mean, every day you don't get up and you feel the same.
Yeah.
And it takes that extra bit of energy and so forth. And you would just have to obviously, you take yourself into a quiet space. And say a little prayer to your people. Yes, definitely, because it's not always easy, right? It's not always easy. So, what's one mistake you made that turned out to be a valuable lesson?
I don't know if I have one mistake, because when you're in a business, you always making mistakes. You learn it along the way. But one I could share is I learned to take deposit, because there was a time where someone would order something from me, like if they wanted, let me say, decor.
Yeah.
And let me say it's balloons. They wanted balloons. So I would go and buy the balloons if they wanted a birthday party this weekend. And I would order the balloons and everything. And no, Saturday, Friday come and they're asking everything's still on, and they ghost. I don't hear from them, and it would just waste my money. So I learned to at least implement a deposit, because it stops you from getting people that are not interested.
And I think that obviously is a setback, because obviously money is needed then to continue to run the business.
Yeah, and it becomes a loss.
Yeah. We can't have a loss. So I guess you were able then to say, you know what, I understand this is a situation. You emotionally regulate, and then you say, you know what, I am going to look at a solution here, and not just look at the challenge. So I think that's a decent step for sure.
One of my first, like I did a kit for someone. I had done a kit, and this was my first time doing a kit for someone, and that's where I first experienced it. Like I bought the ingredients, and I finished on time, and I just let the person know, are they still coming? Because I let a certain amount of time pass, and they just like, oh, I don't want that. I don't want it.
Well, that is something you definitely don't want, obviously, on a lot of
occasions. It turned me off, honestly.
Yeah. But you were able to pick yourself back up.
Yeah.
And go again. No doubt. So how do you deal with self-doubt or fear of failure? I know as a creative,
as someone who constantly use your hands and so forth. And then you have the public view, all the perceptions, all the opinions. I know it is sometimes difficult to deal or having to deal with all the comments and the opinions and so forth. So how do you deal with that? How do you manage to battle that out?
In terms of self-doubt, I dealt with it when it was in my teens. I was like severely shy. I'm still pretty much quiet, like introverted, but I didn't used to talk. And I would say I still have a strong intuition. And what would happen is I would hear, don't trust this or don't do this. But then I would doubt myself. And then it turned out that if I had just listened, I would have saved myself from what had happened, right? So I learned that I should try to at least listen a bit to my intuition or a bit to what I believe God is telling me.
Yeah.
And I realized that from doing that, I stopped myself from going into trouble many times.
Again, it brings me back to that, that those spiritual moment, taking some time off and having that quiet moment with yourself. So that definitely is very important in your life, as you can see. So how does your background influence your work?
What do you mean by background?
Okay, so in terms of your how you were brought up, your family, firstly you talked about the fact that your parents and your family and so forth, they were heavily involved in music. So that's something that
not in music but art.
In arts. So I assume that would have obviously influenced you in a serious way, right? I realized that you do portraits of I think it's all one there at sheep. So it's a situation where you were very seriously connected with farm animals in terms of agriculture, livestock and so forth.
Recently, yes, I was interested in animals. Well, I wanted to be a vet at one time.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
I wanted to do many things, including being a vet. So I always had a love for animals, but the paintings that I would have recently done with animals, I just had as I said, God is really in my life.
Of course.
So sometimes I just have an idea and I like to look into the spiritual aspect and the meanings of. I think it's better to give an example. So one time I was just kind of like meditating, like thinking, and I saw like this bird, like this banana tree, and all of a sudden I felt like I wanted to paint that. And I saw like a spiritual meaning to that, like how the bird is provided, as it had like the bananas that was drinking from a standpipe, and it just inspired by that. And
of course. But you mentioned animals.
Yeah.
What type of pets you have at home and so forth? If you have any pets,
well,
what's your favorite pet or the favorite person
that have
pet in the
two
house?
ducks.
2 ducks. Okay.
So we got for AgriFest.
Okay. Nice.
So
nice.
we wanted to get some chickens to get eggs so we could bake and maybe sell some. But we ended up with 2 ducks.
2 ducks. Wow. Okay.
But I had a lot of different animals. I had dogs, cats, fish, turtles, and it would have had more, but
Okay. So I think, what's your process from idea to execution? So you're about to paint a portrait. What's your process? Obviously, it is if you study or you think about what you want to paint, and obviously you think about what the person is asking you for. From that stage, from that step to you actually getting involved and putting that pen or paintbrush on the canvas. They call it the canvas, correct?
Yeah. Or
right.
it could be a
What was your process?
if it's for, let me say in business, if it's a client and they know exactly what they want, I would just try to implement their idea. But if they give me creative control, I will still ask them like exactly a bit about them.
Of course.
And then I would try to sketch. I always, like, if it's my idea, if it's their idea, I always sketch. And I have a note. In my bag right now, I have a notebook, a pencil, and any idea that comes, I'm sketching.
It starts from sketching.
So I'm sketching that, and then I think about if it's no budget, how I could work within the budget, and I just go from there.
And let's go from there.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I often wonder, I mean, okay, a portrait like that, I go back to the sheep, right? I know, and I must go back to that. I love that particular piece, right? Obviously, it started with just a stroke of the.
It started with the idea, then the sketching, and then in terms of getting everything, it took 4 months to make the canvas.
Wow.
That was our first time making canvas and everything.
4 months.
Yeah, just to get the process of getting things like you may not. I didn't have all the paints on me and all the materials, so I would save up and get something every now and then that took 4 months. But the painting took 9 hours.
Wow, 9 hours.
Yeah, so within that time, it was sketching, and so by the time everything was complete, I knew how I wanted it. 9
hours. So you had to take a lunch break. I would assume.
Oh, different time, yeah.
Jeez,
and just put together, it was 9 hours.
Put together, it was 9 hours. That's a lot of dedication, huh? A lot of dedication. People usually just see the finished product, right? But they don't know the amount of work, the sweat and tears and so forth that is put into these things, So it's glad the viewers, they're able to know that these things, the finished product is there, but these things take a lot of dedication. Yes, for sure. Okay, so generally, I mean, you mentioned you love animals and so forth, right? If you look at, okay, so take another portrait that you would have competed with someone else, right? You usually just take directions from that particular person. You find that you get creative control a lot, or people are very specific a lot of the times in what you create.
Well, in terms of painting, I only recently done. I had creative control in terms of painting so far. But if we're dealing with things like birthday parties, people usually know exactly what they want for their birthday. Sometimes I do get creative control, which I love. I still like to have a little bit of idea to know exactly what they want, But
so birthday parties, you deal with the full setup, the balloons, and where should they put these set of balloons and so forth? Where should they put the cake, the seating? That is what you're involved in.
I haven't gotten the seating as yet, but I would like to get there. I will do events.
Okay, because I'm amazed at how people can just see a space, right? And know, you know what? I want to put this particular thing here. I want to put the balloons here. I want to put the cake there, and so if I want to have this particular seating and so forth. So I am totally amazed at how people can just see an empty space and make things happen. Right?
In terms of studying as well, but I did culinary arts, and we would have learned in Pommery, and we would have learned how to place tables, seating, and such. And then just being artistic, I could envision it.
Okay.
So,
All right. So you say you were directed to put out a particular piece, or to arrange seating and so forth, right? You a creative block. It struck you. What have struck you? How do you deal with that?
I don't know if I had a creative block.
Never had a creative. Wow.
I just get inspired by.
Okay, that is extremely interesting.
I haven't had a creative block.
A creative block. Okay, so most of the times when you're asked to produce or you're asked to arrange, well, you don't do arranging the seating, but you have a space and you want to fill that space and make magic, you are able to do so. Okay, in terms of your painting and so forth.
Because you have to sketch it, because I might not see it there and then, but once I see the space, then I sketch it out. I try different ideas, and then I will go through it with my clients and see what works best.
Okay. And that's also with the creative, having the creative control as well too.
Yeah.
No creative blocks. Wow, that is fantastic. Great to hear. Okay. So how do you stay disciplined and productive on days when you're not feeling inspired? So a client asks you obviously to provide a particular product for them. You have to definitely make magic now, right? But for some reason, blank, nothing. Or the days when you know there's nothing to be done, or there's no product to be produced. That is correct. Yes.
That happens many times.
Yes.
I deal with low iron, so I'm always tired. So I maybe in a sense that has helped me to push through, because I'm always pushing through. And a lot of times I end up doing a lot of last minute orders. So I see it as I'm trying to help the person as much as I can. Sometimes I might not be able to, depending on how last minute it is.
Okay.
If I'm really not feeling well that day, that's why I'm glad I have my support system.
Of course.
Because they help me a lot. So I have to say it.
You find that you do better under pressure, you would say, or you need more
always under pressure.
Always under pressure. Okay.
Always
Are you find that you need a lot, you perform better when you have that allotted time? You have a little bit more time to
it stops you from procrastinating.
Okay.
So that's what I say. If you have a little time, it stops you from procrastinating. You have to think quickly and just come up with an idea quick and what could work with what you have. I personally would still prefer to have time to work with, because I could plan it and I could, if one day of my sketch I might like today, but I might like something else tomorrow, and then I could go through with them. But a lot of times things happen and you gotta think how to fix it. Of course.
And I gotta answer this. When you were doing some studying, right? You think you were better in terms of planning for an exam, or you were someone who could have crammed really, really well?
Fortunately, I was a procrastinator.
Okay.
I used to procrastinate a lot. It's only when you go into the real world and you have to make money and you have to help people that reality hits you. You can't sleep on it. You can't forget it.
Of course.
I would feel bad if I forgot that I had to do something for somebody.
Okay.
So I think that's my motivation.
Okay. So, what's the most surprising thing you've learned about yourself through your work?
I guess pushing to see how much I could do, because my problem had been to try to focus on one thing, because I like so many things, and I try to limit myself so I don't go too far. And I just got inspired to look more than, like, for example, my boyfriend, he also does a lot, and he was one of the first people like really does a lot and has no problem doing a lot.
Of course.
I thought that you should only be one thing. Like, if you're gonna be a graphic designer, you should only be a graphic designer. You can't do anything else. And I had a problem trying to pick one thing. So right now I am just open to trying whatever I feel like trying.
Of course.
I mean, that point.
Okay. Anything within the creative space.
Creative, well, not only art, but I would like to learn more as well in business, accounting, everything. That.
Okay. So, someone who is starting out, you're gonna talk to a younger person now, right? They're starting out. What advice will you give to that person that is no starter? Someone who wants to, climb that ladder. Someone who wants to rise to that occasion.
Who wants to have their own business?
That is correct. Yes, please. Yes.
I have to look at it this way, like life is short. So you don't want that years go by and you at a retirement age, you may not be able to move, your eyes you can't see as good. That you wish that you had started to paint when you can't see anymore.
Yes.
So don't wait till that time. If you're working right now and you gotta still pay bills, if you have any time, at least set aside an hour of the week. If that's all you have, set aside an hour of the week and just push that goal, that dream that you have. Because eventually all of us will not be here.
Yeah. And I think as a creative in this environment, you're going to get a lot of opposition at this particular time. A lot of your peers obviously will say, maths and English and accounting and being a lawyer and so forth. That is dominant in the conversation. Those things are extremely important as well. But a creative is going to get a little bit more of resistance, with the typical, and we can look to change that, obviously, and that is these are what the episodes are for, a little bit more insight on what the creatives go through, So I mean, you've ever had any sleepless nights? Is a particular portrait or a job you had to do and you were just thinking about this particular portrait or job you had to do throughout the night that kept you up that particular night? You can think of any?
There was a time where I used to sleep exactly at 10 or just before, and I found that once I got to a certain age and started to work, there have been a lot of all-nighters. That had to change.
A lot of all-nighters?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not always, thankfully, but...
Beautiful. And Gabrielle, I must say, this has been an absolute pleasure. No doubt about it. Getting some insight on what the creatives, what you guys go through, this has been fantastic. And before you go, I would like you to just, promote your business, promote yourself. I just want you to let the viewers know where they can find you and how they can get in contact with you for any type of creative work that is needed.
Okay, so hi again, everyone. If you're looking for a creative, someone to do your birthday or your campaigning, my name is Gabrielle. My business is Goldilocks Design, but you can find me at goldilocks.bb on Instagram. And if you need any more information, just message and I'll be here. Thank you. Contact number.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, my number is 840-5267.
Yes,
that's it.
Yes, please. Thank you very much. It has been a pleasure. I will see you again for sure. We will see one another again. There's no doubt about it. And I just want to thank you for coming and sharing your journey with the viewers of DLP TV. Yes, please. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes. There you have it. Miss Gabrielle Rock. There you have it. Another young creative. And we've had a fantastic conversation with Miss Gabrielle Rock. This Goldilocks, Miss Goldilocks Design. And it has been a pleasure talking to her and finding out what the young creative, what they go through, and a little insight on her business and what she is capable of and the challenges in which they face. And if you're not tuning in, this is DLP TV, Youth Vibes. We're having conversations with creatives and young business owners. We have another guest up coming.
shortly he will be on set, and we will be having a conversation with him in regards to content creation. Young, vibrant young man, Mr. Jamal Sandyford. He is a content creator. Sauce the Official. Yes, Sauce the Official. I want to thank you for coming to the show. Blessed love.
It's always a
Blessed
pleasure to
love.
be here, man.
Yes, man. Blessed love. Blessed love. Nice seeing you, bro. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So how was it there, man?
Well, it was quite average.
yeah.
Nothing really stick up today, really, other than conducting business to continue to further, get more clients and prospects and stuff.
Of course. That's always a challenge, Again, those creative works. I mean, they're in demand. You obviously have to find the avenues and so forth to traverse.
Correct.
And I want to thank you for coming on the show. I want to thank you for sharing your story in advance, because I know that you have a story to tell, no doubt about it.
It's true.
We've sort of heard your story before, but you are able to then tell the story once again to the viewers. And I want to thank you in advance, right? So just introduce yourself and the business in which you own.
Okay. Well, first of all, you guys know my name is Sauce the Official, all right? And that's the brand development is the name of the business, Sauce the Official Brand Development. And what that is essentially a place you can come to get content, like videos and photography, to help your business grow and to even grow a personal brand. So I don't only do like content for businesses, I also do for you want a birthday shoot, a wedding, an anniversary, a renewal of vows. Anything that you want to have a keepsake, I do. Furthermore, I don't just do photos, I do prints as well. And you can go and check out my page on Instagram at Sauce the Official. You're going to see a yellow logo pop up with a nice handsome face, a little bit like this, but a lot younger.
Yeah.
Because the business has been going for years now.
Yes. So the name Sauce the Official. Sauce. Give us a little insight. Give us a little insight on the name.
Funny story.
Yeah.
That is actually an inherited name that has been passed down. A lot of people know my father as Sauce, and that was just it. And coming up, I was called Junior Sauce. You playing the football, you play the cricket, you would call you Junior Sauce. And honestly, initially it stuck. I started music. That was one of my backgrounds as well, singing. Started music, and it was going as Junior Sauce. And eventually, I kind of broke away from it as the years went on. Eventually, I went from Junior Sauce to just Sauce Boss in DJing era. As a very entertaining DJ, like that name stuck, and ladies start calling me Sauce Boss, and to this day still go by it to a degree. So this year. But eventually, from Sauce Boss now, I started to business a lot serious, and that's when I decided, you know what? When people come to me, it's always the official. So that's just what the name
Sauce
stuck. So Sauce the Official.
The Official.
This is the version of myself that I believe, that I'm going to stick with, because it had a lot of different versions that I had to overcome to be where I am today.
Gotcha. So you're the original.
No,
the original.
no, there is
the original, but you're the official.
But I'm the official.
Okay, you're the official. Okay. So when you realize, what, I am a creative. I have the talents and the skills necessary to be a creative.
If I'm going to be completely honest, right? I can't give you an exact date. But what I can remember is that one of my first things expressing creativity was when it was kept by my uncle. It was years ago. I probably was about age 6, 7. My mother used to allow me to go down in Christchurch and spend the weekend with him. And he's an aspiring artist. Well, I can't say aspiring anymore because he's brought in success in that area. So he's an artist now. But at that time, he was an aspiring artist. And he was in a bit of a creative block. So he had an instrumental and he had a tape recorder, and he was just trying to, flow. And every time he would get close to having a bar, he would just stop. And then one minute, he just looked at me and he was like, Jamal, come here. And he told me, say something. And I was like, say something. Well, I don't know what to say. And funny enough, I just looked around the room. And I remember this like it's yesterday, he had a PlayStation 2. He had back then used to have DVDs, so the Check Your Own DVD was there. And then so many different things going on. I just literally tried to use what was going on in the room to tell a story.
Wow.
And he had Jet Li as a PlayStation game, so it was talking about how Jet Li getting in a fight with Chicken Run, and you know, and Jet Li got this gun, and you know, before you know it was a whole storyline that I just, you know, created out of thin air, but just using what was around me.
Oh,
you know, so that was when I first thought it was, you know, somewhat creative. Funny enough, he took me to the studio, I think, the following weekend, and he was pissed because he burned money. I didn't see a single lyric. I didn't see a single lyric in front of him. Like, but on the tape recorder, I wonder if he still has that. But on the tape recorder, that was a moment that changed my life. You know, I didn't know that music could have been so fun, and that was actually what I would say opened the doorway for me in the music area.
This is the when you realize you were Sauce, the official.
no, not yet. At that point in time, it was still Mr. Tally.
You were still Mr. Tally for
6, 7, you know, still in primary school, still at St. Silas Primary, still struggling with the academic curriculum, you know, still finding my way on how to draw the difference between an E and an A. That was years ago. You know?
But yet you could take all the instruments that were in this particular room and tell a story.
It wouldn't be hard.
Yeah,
right?
it wouldn't be hard.
But what made things easier on that day was that the fact he had an instrumental that was playing in my head for must about, I would say, close to somewhere around 2 hours, because he was trying his hardest. It's like a producer sent him an instrumental. You know, he got a weekend to rehearse before he gets to go to the studio, and he's trying his best just to find the flow, find the story. And for me, I hearing different flows, I hearing different, you know, points to pull from. So for me, it was just like I pick up intuitively, and I actually come from a music background. I have DJs as uncles, and even Verswell, and not to shameless plug, but he's another cousin of mine who was wrong. My uncles were DJs, so you know they were in a group called the Super T. Hope that doesn't bring back up any.
No worries.
You know, but yeah, so I have a background of creative as well. So for me, coming up in that field, I never saw myself as one of them. I guess it kind of rubbed off. And on the day, I wasn't nothing I had planned. It just was in the room, and he just had a block. He called me and tell me try something, and it just flowed.
Natural creative.
Just look around and try to tell a story in my head to how to get to this point. You know, that's literally a freestyle.
Naturally a creative. Okay. So when you decided to pursue this thing seriously, you said, well, you know what? I'm a creative, and I am going to pursue these creative things.
Well,
seriously.
I have 3 main passions that I followed. The first one was the music area. Seeing my uncle, you know, and then having the passion eventually on my own. Because another moment kind of bloomed for me in the creative area. I know a brother of mine named Stamina. He goes by you probably could find him on YouTube as well, you know. At Stam Music Productions, but he was doing a song back when it was around like in second farm, so probably 13. And my best friend Kobe was there, and then was talking about his new release, and they heard his song. And this is gonna sound a little bit harsh, but I heard his song, and it was like, that's it. And he was pissed because at that point in time he recorded music himself, he produced his song himself. You know, to hear that wasn't the inspiration he was looking for. But I did give my pointers, and you know, he was like, since you know what it is and you can do all that, then you should do it yourself. Do on. So that was funny. I was like, no problem. And within about 8 minutes, I think I remember it was about 8 minutes, I write up. It wasn't a full song, but it was an intro, a chorus, and a first verse, and right afterwards was chorus again. And that was the day that I decided I'm going to take music serious, because when he gave me the approval, he was like, what's your name, Calvin? You know, I was like, no, I literally just write down Kobe could vouch for it. And he was like, yo, okay, well, you should probably, you know, and then we all got in this group, and we started going in saying and doing music. And for me, it was always a learning curve. I never thought I knew everything. I always want to know what did I know.
That's good.
And then Versi Wilson, always in this crew as well. And he started to teach me things like alibs, and that's essentially like what we use as a background vocal. Right. And he started showing me how to increase my diction and so on. Improve, sorry, not increase. So it was always like, you know, having this competitive edge between us force you to get better at what you're doing. So for me, that was the one area in the music area. Eventually, we got into DJing through the same group, because, you know, as an artist, you know, you have an interest in music, and you don't just want to sing your own songs or perform your own songs, you know. You get into the disc jockey era. We had people like Verswell around you that inspiring you. And then at that time, I think Puffy had just became the #1 DJ in the world too. So we had a lot of influence,
Yeah.
guiding me to go that direction, you know. And outside of that, I ended up taking part in the Barbados Vocational Training Board at around like 16, 17, just after you left school. And that is when I started to pursue my passion in cooking, and I became the valedictorian in 2018 and represented Barbados in the World Skills Competition as a chef.
Wow, a man of many skills, boy. So that little piece of constructive criticism that you would have given the young man, you know, he didn't like it too much, but that started a chain of positive events.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
You never know what you're capable of doing until you just decide to try.
Of course.
You know, and I always say, as to this day, still always learning. Never feel you know too much. You know, there's very few areas in the music area that I don't really dabble in, like the actual instrumentation now. In secondary school, to play steel pan, and it was around, you know, other instrumentalists, but after I left school, I just kind of left that behind me.
So what instruments you can play? You said the steel pan a little bit?
Steel pan was the main one. I always aspired to play like the piano, and aspired to play the guitar, but I never actually ventured into that area. Funny enough, it kind of bite me when I got into the actual producing, because I can actually produce. I'm a mixing engineer, right? I never actually like created instrumentals, and it always would irk me because you would have this, you know, this song in your head that you could play, you know, the synths, you know the piano, you know some of the chords, you know, the scales and everything, but you don't have the compatibility or the compatibility, capacity or compatibility to actually say, well, let me take out the equipment and start playing, you know. So it was always a bit of a drawback in my mind.
Because all he could play is blah 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 sheet. You know, it's usually blah 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 sheet and a little bit of twinkle twinkle little star on the keyboard. That's about it. And
well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. Oh, yeah.
All he could play blah 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 sheet, boy. So whoever can really read music and so forth, I really
commend them. I got a lot of love for those people. A lot.
You got a lot. Boy. To me, they're magicians.
Or look, essentially is what they are.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So your early influences. I know you mentioned. I believe you mentioned your family, some of your family members. You know, how they shape your work. I know you mentioned as well. The part where the constructive criticism you would have given to that particular person. That was your family member?
Well, no, he's not family, but I want some of his family, and we were very close. In terms of the best way to answer your question, honestly, is I have a lot of inspirations, a lot of influencers. Because even down to the brand development area, I really start taking it serious because of YouTube. You know, Peter McKinnon was a rising star in that field, and he actually has tips on how to shoot content, how to edit, how to, you know. And I always had an aspiration for that as well. And seeing him show you how easy it was. In fact, one of my most the moment that set me on the photography path for life was the day I watched him edit a photo that I myself would delete. Ever to see it in my camera view or my phone, I would delete. And I watched him just remake this entire image.
Whoa.
And then he said a positive note at the end. He said, you know, you see what I could do with this image, go out and shoot something today, challenge yourself.
Of course.
You know, and I was shooting with an iPhone 6S, and even then it was outdated. I mean, it's really outdated now, but even then it was outdated, and I just went and I shot some images in my area, went into the Lightroom, play around some colors, play around some sliders, and realized that, you know, I actually got a keen eye for this, you know, and I start posting. Funny enough, this was back when I was like 16. When they start posting, people was like, well, yeah, I know he's a photographer now. I know you know, and it was just at that point in time, it was like just you're trading, you know, you're establishing it. And then after that, my close friend, he decided that he liked it as well. And we just decided to charter that path, and he went and invested in the camera. I later on invested in one after working at Sandy Lane. And then from there, it was like, boom, you know, we came together and we start shooting music videos and start doing content with businesses. You know, you just keep trying and keep aspiring and always be willing to learn, you know. That's how it got me.
All right. So, chef, DJ, dabble in video,
photography. Which one you actually enjoy? Which one you enjoy doing the most? You would say, in your opinion.
That'd be a very tough call for me. I would say the DJing though. I kind of miss the DJing.
Yeah.
The DJing was a hard
This
road.
was selecting or
I was the MC, but I can do both.
voicing.
I can
Yeah?
do both. If I started off,
Wow.
funny enough, I started off being the disc jockey.
Yeah.
Learning from my best friend. He used to do the disc jockeying, and one day he just showed me just in case of to be a fill-in, right? And then one day, some DJ told me that he need to get a mic man. You know, he can't just be playing music, and I don't know whoever that he said. But I'm glad because what happened was he ended up leaning upon me. He was like, "Man, you sauce, man, you risky thing." And let me be honest with you, that's another side of inspiration that come now. Rico Love, you know, Surf Rat, you know, the big wigs, right? Them actually inspired me, like the storytelling aspect, you know, the way that they would entertain using the lines and how the crowd control, and that inspired me in that area. And I beginning chartering it, I had those people as a benchmark as to, you know, how to gauge how good you are and so on. Eventually, actually ended up playing on cruises with them, and I'll never forget the first day that Surf Rat complimented me because I was about to hand over to him, and he was like, you know, and he was like, you know, you can't tell. I was actually playing Dockside, and these gentlemen about here, but you know, but Dockside is not necessarily the easiest position to play. You like, is the opening DJ, the crowd no coming in, everybody no getting to adjust and so on. But for me, I saw it as a challenge. And it was playing for the MC Buccaneer. I had people singing from Dockside. You know, it was playing there Barris Hammonds and so on. A part of it is knowing your audience as well, you know, knowing who you're playing for, knowing your crowd. But just using Rico Love and Surf Rat and even Full Clip for that matter, because that's who you really was geared towards. I know it's me and my disc jockey, and you know, some clips out of the same way dynamic do more. So that's the direction that we went as well, right? And
because nowadays a lot of time is spent on Dockside.
Honestly, a
lot of time is spent on Dockside. So I can imagine it'd be a challenge. You gotta play for them.
Yeah.
A lot of hours.
But funny enough though, I that first time we played though, that was like no other. I had nerves that time.
Right. I was like that you were peeping. You're peeping.
No.
I was just about to ask you now. I mean the first time you would have put a mic in your hand, how you felt, how you really felt about it. I mean you have to voice or mic in front of all those people and so how you felt.
Well, at that time I had a bit of experience. So my first time doing MCing all together, it was like it's something that it might sound weird. You talk every day, but having that mic in your hand for the very first time is so challenging. You gotta first figure out how to hold it. You gotta first figure out, you know, it's not just talking as well, because you gotta control the faders and so on, your DJing. So for me, it was a very, very challenging aspect, but I caught on to it pretty quick. Part of it was by watching DJ Puffy, you know, he has his YouTube videos and so on. So analyzing, he's actually holding fader before he speaks. Those are the micro adjustments changed everything for me. And then understanding like what your age range, your crowd, what they respond to well, all those things played a critical role for me. To this day, we're still hop back in DJing any day. Just that it was a breakaway because my partner decided he wanted to transition to a different field as well, and that left me, because I wasn't on the equipment, that left me kind of high and dry. But it's something that I miss, but I feel like any day I get the opportunity to just sat back into it. You know, it's something I can't let it go. But the music side of things as well too, because I didn't just do the recording engineering, the mixing engineering, I also sang as well. So I spent so many hours, more than the DJing, but so many hours at night, from 9 o'clock in the night to 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, to people go get it and tell you, listen, translate, you know. You know, you're hitting them notes and so on. You feel you can do it better, so you go again. So I actually would say I love music the most, but I can't pick between photography. I can't pick between the DJing side of things and the singing side of things, but I still love the photography. I find myself doing it more, you know, businesses and brands reaching out, you know, because there's always an avenue for marketing, and I love it. If I don't love it, I won't be doing it.
Of course. So you mentioned food, right? What is the dish? What's the dish you say, you know what, this is my top dish here? Nobody can beat me on this dish. Nobody can beat me in terms of how you prepare this dish, how this thing tastes. What is your to-go dish?
Honestly, I It'll be so hard when you actually have a variety. When you have a variety of food that you could prepare. It's gonna be so hard. But I would dare to say that a stir fry. I never
stir-fry.
come across anybody that has done a stir fry on the level that I have tasted. You know, and the reason I want to say that, right, and not go the raw people attention will probably like expect me to say like the macaroni pie or so on is because I come across some good ones and I don't want nobody to come for me. And listen, let me be honest with you, people can't touch me. A lot of people may say can't touch me from pie, can't touch me from sauce, can't touch me from pudding, and that's just the truth, you know. Like I represent Barbados, the world skill chef, and I don't want to use that as a barrier, right? But what it would say is that I do a lot of food that I have just got compliments on. So anything that I know is a crowd pleaser, I see it as I don't know anybody that, you know, that does it that way. And plus, if I had to venture into the food aspect just for a bit, I do something called profiling, right? So I don't just do the regular thing that everybody accustomed doing or just pass on this recipe or take up how people do these fish skates and do them. I actually get so creative. In fact, I'm gonna show you something that people don't come across. When I started to think about how to do fish skates on a healthier level, right? I actually created the dough, boiled them in water, and then put them in the air fryer. So guess what? Stay in flavor, cut grease. And these are things you do never come across, you know, or you will never hear anybody openly come and say, well, hey, I've done this. So for me, like I look at food from a different aspect, even down to like the chef arena. People don't know, a lot of people don't know it, but you can actually mix like chocolate and herbs together. You know, like white chocolate and fresh oregano and, you know what I mean, cumin oregano. So like these aspects a lot of chefs be in, but I don't see them on that level. I don't see them competing on that level, you know.
What we can do, saying here, I can test it, right? And we can compete. Don't worry about it. We can compete. So what was your pet thing? What's your pet go-to thing here? What do you do in terms of living? What do you do in terms of work and stuff like that as we speak? What do you do?
Well, currently I focus on my brand development skills, where I actually help businesses to, you know, get the audience that they want, reach the audience that they want, find the market, you know, like get into the psychology of why people do what they do when they're on their phone, so on and so forth. So I could create ad material through indirect marketing so that it doesn't feel salesy, but what it does is it actually reaches the audience and incentivizes them to pay attention one and even go as far as to come to the store, comment on the videos, comment on the photos, you know, give information, valuable information that they could use, you know, find out what times they're more likely to come to your bar, what times people are more likely to come and purchase your product. So for me, there's a lot of different things that I do within the field, but the main one is photography and videography. That help businesses grow.
Yes, photography. Right. Okay, photography. So what would be the last piece you would have done?
The last piece?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Well, currently one of my last piece of. So listen, every time I shoot a video, I normally catch a photo as well. But
that'd be photography or in terms of video.
Well, I did an advertisement the other day for a lady whose name is Sabrina. She goes by S4 Meets on Instagram. You can go and check it out. And I shoot some of her material, you know, in terms of the photography and videos to help capture your attention. You know, a lot of people don't think about it, but like the meat business is not really the most appetizing. When it's cooked, when it's prepared, you get people attention. You know, people say, oh, that looks good, I would order that. But how do you get people to invest before you get to that stage? People don't necessarily want to see the meat raw, you know, but however, if you find the right angle to show them, you will get them interested. So what I did is I shot some material so that they could see like, you know, like how to carve the meat, how fresh it is, so on. I found the unique selling points to get the people to notice, so hey, you know, like this is where to get your meat from. This is a trustable, reliable source to get your meat from. And most of all, she's affordable and she's easy to reach right here in cheap side market. So that is how I approach that. And they normally catch a lot of material within these areas, but she's the most recent one.
Okay, so and you do the editing, obviously yourself and so forth. You got the raw product, and then you do the editing. Give me an example. How long editing usually do it? I mean, it depends. I know it depends on the piece.
Correct.
But give me an example of how long. That's an estimate of how long and strenuous this thing. I mean, you love it.
So it will not feel like hard labor,
Mhm.
but I know it takes time. How long editing takes, you will say?
I'll be brutally honest with you.
Mhm.
In the beginning,
Mhm.
it used to take hours upon hours. Sometimes
Yes.
I would say like 6 hours,
Mhm.
depending upon what you were doing, because one, you were still figuring it out,
Mhm. Mhm.
and two, the material you don't really trust yourself yet. So you will recite, you will check over and tweak this, and you will say, man, I don't know, should I add in something else to help sell, you know? And then what happened is that after a while, you gain more experience. And for me now, it takes me, I am not want to lie to you, I would say anywhere 23 minutes, not even quite half hour now. Because down to the color science of the camera I think about. So I have colors inputted so in my camera, which is called camera calibration. So that when they take it from the camera straight to my software, whether it be Adobe or whatever, I don't have to work as hard within that area in terms of getting my colors right, because a lot of time is spent on color correcting inside the software. So what I do is I think about it and learn from experience. I use my experience, capturing the right log formats. When it transitions over to here, I actually have built-in LUTs and created LUTs to suit each environment that I'm going for and each specific look I'm going for. So it doesn't take me that long. And then the hardest part is really like doing captions or animation, like getting like people's I would say logo to spin, or how to get it to pop out. If you want to do a cut out of them and change the background or whatever, those things, and those aren't quite hard if you actually have a proper setup. If you got a green screen, it's easy to chroma key. But for me, it doesn't take that long now. It's actually a matter of how long the videos are. My advertisements could shoot, edit and everything in like less than an hour, right? And if I had to do like a music video, that's a different story. Music videos knows what takes longer because you got so many different shots. You're trying to find the right story to tell so that the client could feel like this is the image that they want to show, and that part takes time,
So you have a lot of creative control. That's what you call it, or you find a lot of clients. You know what? This is what I want. Don't move from this. Do not shift from this.
I can be very honest with you. You can get a mix.
Okay.
At least in my experience, I get a mix. What I find is that a lot of people will come to you when you promote yourself because they like what they're seeing. And I want something like that, right? But then you're going to find the hard-headed ones that gonna be like, no, I know what you want, and I spend X amount of time creating this song, and I want this particular location, and they want this, and they just want you to hold the camera like this, and you can come across those kind of people. Now, what I do in those cases, right, is I try my best to show them the right way or show them my point of view. However, what I did learn is sometimes you gotta let somebody feel. You have to let somebody bite your tongue. You have to let somebody, get that little emotional pain so they can realize I'm not the guy for this. And you came to this guy for a reason. Or this guy does this every day for a reason. So for me, when that person fails and they have a hiccup, and you're the person who solves that, you're the problem solver in the situation. You're the, the subject matter expert, right? So to speak. Then people start to say, well, all right, well, what do you think about it now? No, they want your opinion. No, they want your validation. And then they want to know how you can actually help them. So for me, that's why you find it's happening. You got a bit of mix.
Okay, so I want you to promote yourself. But no, you did a little bit earlier in the conversation. Promote yourself. Tell the viewers where we can find you.
Well, you can find me on Saucy Official on YouTube as well. You can find me on Instagram. I don't really use too many other other apps, social media apps. Truth be told, you can also find me on TikTok as well at Sauce Boss on TikTok. We will find one of the most viral videos so far in the history of Barbados, where it was managing Rayman 2X, and we did the money tree. So that's about it. You can find me on Instagram, you can find me on YouTube, you can find me on TikTok, and you can rewatch the video. If you want my number for any of my services, it's 252-5430. Once again, that'll be 252-5430.
That's man. Blessed love all the time.
All the time. It's a pleasure.
You see again. No problem. I remember. Just remember, we got to compete. I can do some sort of dish. I don't know what it's going to be yet. I can tell you in advance.
I can tell you 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, we're gonna let everybody know how it goes.
That is the perfect idea.
Nice here, man. Bless love.
You try to see it.
Bless love. Yeah, right. Yes. Once again, another creative, Mr. Jamal Sanford. This
is DLP TV. You vibes. We having conversations with creators, creatives, and young business people. I want to say that we'll be having a fantastic conversation. Things have been going exceptionally well. We're learning about the challenges. We're learning about the benefits. We're learning all about the stories of these young creatives. No doubt about it. Loving it so far. And up next, we have a DJ. We have a DJ who will be coming on, and he will be sharing his story. He'll be sharing his story, all the challenges, and I'm sure he was able to overcome lots of those challenges to actually create. He knows what he's about. He knows his successes, and I want to welcome DJ Regular. DJ Regular. Yes, man. Glad you're blessed love, woman. You cool?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Nice to- Oh, that's all right. No, man. Listen, we having a conversation here.
Fair enough.
We can be good to go. No doubt about it, man. No doubt about it. So, just introduce yourself, DJ Regular.
Well, my name is Trell Ashley.
Mhm.
Some people may know me as Regular Dagler, Maps Boss, whatever you want to call it. You know, and I'm a young entertainer / entrepreneur.
Yeah, man. And I want you to continue to do your thing, huh?
Sure.
You know, there's a space for creatives. There's a space for creatives, and you guys are the future, no doubt about it. Huh? Keep doing your thing. So it's a business. I know that it's not just a hustle. It's not just a side thing.
Correct.
It's a business. So there's a name of the business, or you just go. You have a crew. What is that?
I have a crew, but we don't have a name per se.
A name per
It's
se.
just young entertainers coming up in the game.
Beautiful. Beautiful. How many are actually in the group?
Let's see. 1, 2, 3. 3 and a couple of others.
3 a couple others. Okay. And then obviously they share different roles in the group, huh? They share different roles. And they're there for your support as well too.
Sure.
Yeah, man, they're for your support. So you go now to a particular event, and they are there, right? They're your entourage. The entourage, yeah, man. So when you realize, you know what, I am about this thing. I am a creative. I can DJ. I can. So you make or you select. You do both.
Right, but
Okay.
I have also a selector with the name of exclusive.
Exclusive. Okay.
Always work on like some things. Maybe get put together. We will go together for sure. If it is some people will let me like, DJ alone, I think I will go for sure.
I want you to tell the viewers a secret. Which one you prefer? The selecting or you prefer the miking? Which one you prefer?
Honestly, I like both.
Is it both?
I really like both, to be honest, because to see the crowd actually interacting with the music that you're playing. And plus, when it comes to the speaking too, you don't know what you're going to say before a certain song coming. You know what I mean? So, like, I actually like both.
Okay.
For me, I love both.
You know, you do some level of public speaking. I just want you to know, right? I just want you to know.
At some point.
This is second nation you doing here. Don't worry about it. We got you covered. Yeah, but so okay, so what age you started to DJ?
Let me see. So it's 24, so I would say roughly 2021.
21. Pretty recent. So you're 24 currently. Okay, 21. What was your first experience? But firstly, it was selecting or it was making?
It was making.
It was making.
Oh, it was making. It was making.
Okay, it was making. Okay. And you remember the feeling you had that first time?
Yeah, actually, like to be honest, long before I actually get on a set itself, as a DJ set, it would just be like in my house with my phone in my hand, a nice little boombox speaker there, and I just pretended that I DJing, like it's one of the big ones, like full clip.
Whoa, okay.
So I just there, and I just be like, oh yeah, like, everybody, I think, and then I was skipping something on my phone, and I think like,
whoa, okay. So you call that a little shower, some shower moment, some shower moment, yeah. Okay. So at which point, I know you say you started at 21, so it was at that time you say, you know what, I can take this thing seriously.
Honestly, I wasn't always a DJ. I started out as a singer.
A singer.
over something that came as a joke.
Okay.
For those who know me as the regular Dagala.
Right.
For sure, it was a collab between me, Trey Breezy, and Kevin. Now, how this song came about was that man was going Polytechnic. I just say, well, it was to watch Trey Breezy vines and think, oh no, he's got some funny stuff. So the regular Dagala was originated from him. But when people saw my face and my motion and the glasses, you know, they love pizzazz funny thing. Like people just started click at it. It went viral, and they started get like a lot of opportunities like for Bash Masoka in 2019, and you know, a lot of people like full click that gave me opportunities to do a nice little recording session. So from there, it just pushed off.
You know what amazes me? You know, a lot of these songs, people that go viral or are actually hits. People usually go into the studio and say, you know what? This thing can be a hit. I can just bear more support at this song here. And it's so strange that it eventually becomes a hit. You know? Most of these things, and people, the songs that people take hours, days to work on, you know, they get no rotation, none at all. Nooch, nothing. So, you know, that is very interesting. So how long did the song Regular Dagla, how long that took to produce?
It wasn't. I just got a call saying, well, Regular, I would like to record the song. That's from the Family Dynasty. And I told him, well, all right, no problem. He was so robot. With Dynasty, and I used to watch them DJ and things. So how it came across, we went up in, I think that was Silver Hill. We went in Silver Hill. And full kit. I think I didn't expect a lot of people was there. So from there, I was nervous. People can say, man, this song is very nonsense and thing, but you know, you can just go there and do my thing like that.
So how you deal with nerves? How you deal with them? You just count the 10 or something. They say, no, what I can do this here.
Well,
let me do this here now.
I'm comfortable now, but when I first started out to sing, I just shut my eyes, and obviously it was just like I'm actually all right. Regular, these just children, these just adults, like nothing, they can't tell me nothing. You know what I mean? And when they open up my eyes, it was like look at the back of the crowd. I was looking at the body just like, no matter with the snow cone car, he booking, he look at he go.
Okay.
You understand? He gave me confidence, and I tell you, plus no, I don't share, so I can't really see like my nervous side or anything like that.
Interesting. You know?
I
know a couple of creatives as well too. They said the smaller the crowds, the more nervous they are. What is your take on that?
To be honest, I didn't start off with a small crowd. My first biggest event I ever had was Wakey. So honestly, we had the whole crew. It was not only me, like I said, I had two others, Trey Breezy and Kevin, called the Jesus. And when we met Wakey, I was nervous. But Trey Breezy told me, my regular, don't be nervous, big man. You get out there and shout this thing. You won't send a drink. Oh no, it's nah, cool. It just so, all right, watch it. You got there. I want to imagine what the people near here, but just got there. I said, all right, no problem.
Yeah.
So when the song start, I just ran up on stage and I moving well and active. Everybody like, what are you showcasing? Man, this I got real energy up. You know what I mean? You know, but they ain't never had the dress on it. So I had a nice little talk and thing. I'll beat it so crafty stuff. But honestly, it wasn't easy. But I used to imagine myself like, supposing if I had to go up there for myself, I don't think I would actually have anybody to actually come and tell me about regular. Don't be nervous, or nobody to give me no word to say about, buddy. You know what I mean? If the song's only about a minute long, do your best.
What year that song came out?
I think I came out in 2019. I could be wrong, or a little bit old.
2019, about 2019.
About so.
Yeah. That song was a big sound
for sure.
Mostly circles. Yeah,
all around everybody.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So, in terms of influences, I think you mentioned earlier up in the conversation, you would do a lot of shower actions and you play with all types of items like table and all types of things.
Correct.
In terms of the artists and so forth, in terms of some of the artists, some of the DJ, well, we will go the DJs. Who were some of the DJs that would have given you that early inspiration?
For starters, Full Clip.
Okay.
And Surf Rock, for sure, and Dynasty.
Okay.
That was the three DJs that actually pushed me as an artist. That used to play me music all over, and then eventually everybody push, but them was the main 3 people that for sure can push music, can push me some. Never had to ask, never questioned, just played it, did mixes, and showed me certain things.
Actually show you certain love. Okay, so major setback. I know this life is a journey. We know this here, right? You can remember a major setback you had in your journey to becoming a DJ?
Yeah, I had a lot. Actually.
A lot. Okay.
Where, to be honest, like I tell you, all how regular that started was it was a joke. It wasn't really nothing serious. But from the time people start to like push it on social media, I just tell myself, well, I can just write this song because this is wasn't always my thing. I used to play steel pan from primary school. Used to play keyboard in secondary school, drums in secondary school, joined a couple of churches, all type of things I used to do. You know, so like singing to me, I was never like a man behind the mic. I was always a man behind the instrument. So singing to me, like I never like grasped that. I never thought that I would be singing actually out there. That's what really shocked me. But
so you say you sang at church?
No.
Okay.
I used to play drums at church.
Okay, play drums.
Yeah.
Okay.
Play drums.
Okay, no, obviously not that. But in terms, I know a lot of people they get their start, but a lot of them they sing in choirs and so forth, and then they branch off then into
everything is
genre.
Just music. To be honest, like I love all types of music. In a genre of music that I don't love everything. For sure, everything can sound good, but it got a lot of genres that I love in music. So that's why I prefer to just play. But singing it, no, sometimes I would mess around with my partners outside, just cooling, and we just sing like a little verse or sing.
Yeah. So in terms of drums, how long it took you to learn the drums?
To be honest, I basically like train myself. I didn't have a trainer. Per se. I just adapt, watching other people, telling myself I could do this. Sometimes I would do like a little saying like the movements and things like on my legs and things like not my legs. I was asleep.
Let me tell you something. It takes a lot of coordination.
Correct.
A lot of coordination. I can tell you that it is amazing how drummers and the amount of obviously movements you have to make at the same time.
Correct.
Lots of coordination. Okay, so what's one mistake you made that turned out to be a valuable lesson, you would say?
One mistake I made.
By the end of the day, it turned out to be a valuable lesson.
The one mistake I made, for sure, is joining entertainment group. I'm not gonna call the name, but
don't call
joining an entertainment group.
Yeah,
for sure. It gave me a lot of setbacks where like the group wasn't unstable. It's just I would say the management was unstable. You know, they was only pushing one person, and this is saying this is reality. A lot of it as young people the same. I can't control youngsters. I can't control these young girls or whatever it is that's going on. But I love music, and if we as an entertainment group can push one another, this ain't a group for we. You know what I mean? These youngsters, we need like everybody that's got this thing, man. You know what I mean? The old heads no more going on and thing, but youngsters is the ones like you said can create a certain mindset for sure. And it was 8 of us in this group. So imagine we got 8 minds, 8 sets of talent.
Yeah, of course.
And for sure. And everybody that left this group doing something for themselves.
Yeah, of course. You think that what you do in terms of DJ, is it taken seriously enough in Barbados?
In terms of like my DJing?
Of course, DJing in general.
Yeah, it is taken serious for sure. Because I'm a person where I have to get a booking, I just practice, do some sort of practice, either making, singing, whatever it is I get booked for, it's practice for sure before I even left my house. One couple of tunes before I even leave, to be honest. But I know for sure that it can be further.
Okay, you can be further. Okay. What do you think is some of the impediments? Do you have a support group? Do you have people behind you motivating you? I know you got your entourage and so forth. You know, a number of them they're in the audience now.
Yeah.
But other than that, in terms of your family members and so forth.
For sure, my family at first didn't support it, but once they see that I could really push that into the table, my mother was excited. for sure. Shout out to mommy for sure. She
Yeah,
was really
for sure.
excited. 'Cause
Mommy
she tell
regular.
me,
Yeah.
Mommy regular.
Mommy regular.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, mommy
So,
regular.
like, to the other money used to tell me, man, just put your best foot forward. She done it for sure. That I done it for sure. All of my money, all the trouble you used to give, she got me back.
But it's good that you're getting that support at home.
Sure,
That's very, very important. It's good that she's taking this career seriously. Because I think it's not taken seriously enough. You know, creatives like yourself not taken seriously enough as yet. But we can deal with that. So how you deal with self-doubt and failure? Like, okay, so you go on the set and you know, for some reason you said something that does not relate to the song that is actually playing and so forth. And you say this, I really messed up here. And how do you deal with constant battle then? A constant battle in that moment and in that space at this particular time. How do you deal with that?
Well, honestly, self-doubt ain't nothing to play with. When it comes to actually being in front of a crowd, you can mess up at home and correct that. But you can never mess that up when you at the booking or whatever you have going on. But personally, how we deal with it, sometimes like live on the spot, I would ignore it. But I know for sure if it's saying that I got correct, I can deal with it after. For sure. You know, and mistakes is right through my head a lot when I DJing, because for sure, let's be real, you're human. This is something that you love, things that you love, you can make mistakes. You got a lot of doubts. You got a lot of little things getting through your head like you. Jeez, I didn't want to do this here, but it happened. But how I deal with it, I don't like put me down. You know, it is just forward it.
So you would say you're your biggest critic? You see, you give yourself a lot of pressure.
I got a lot of critics.
But you give yourself
biggest
personally a lot of credit, a lot of pressure.
Correct.
Okay. So you go into an event, right? You feel out the crowd, obviously, and you say you mostly select or you mostly mic.
I mostly I mostly do both.
You mostly do both,
but like I say, how do you say? I'm managing for both.
Okay, you're managing.
Got my little struggles in between, especially when it comes to the making. So I was DJing.
So you're into some producing as well too. You ever dabbled in producing?
For sure. I got a nice support group. Writer Records. He lives up with me. He's managing. He's producing a lot of artists for sure. But for sure, if I had a coin and silver dawn, I want to come and learn something. I want to come and record a few artists. He can let me do it. For sure, you can show me what to do and move on from there. Okay, so a creative block, right? So again, you go into an event or whatever the case may be, and for some reason, look, the person before me played this particular type of genre. I do not have a clue here what I am going to play next. How do you handle that? How do you deal with that? To be honest, dealing when you're DJing, and this is for all DJs, this ain't not promoters that tell me all the time. It's always good to get at least a half an hour early before your time as a DJ, so that you can actually hear what is that going on before. Because say if it come, two DJs will play a good set of new 2025 dancehall tune or 2024 dancehall tune, or that's fine. But just remember that I had tunes from long before he was even born. You could go back, you could come up from there, and there's a lot of tunes for sure that you could play. So my advice for sure, get there early before your timing for sure.
Preparation.
At least that even if you want to start with this song and this song playing on, at least you live there, you could hear it, you could change up, you could start with any genre. No, people always studying, man, you know what I mean? This is a dance hall crowd, but as a DJ for sure, everybody love to dance and walk up.
Right. So you my thing is, so you get to the event, right? The music is playing, the DJs, they're finished their set. You have started and you're the mic man, right? And for some reason, is there ever a time when you do not know what to say next? You ever get that type of block?
Yeah, sometimes for sure. It happens. And it's going to happen, and it can keep happening until I perfect it. You know, but honestly, when it comes to a next song that's about to be played, especially if I know the song, because that will only happen most of the time for me if I don't know the song. You know, so say like if the next song is like,
but then you would probably say something generic.
Yeah,
something generic.
I love it. That
Okay,
like taking it with me.
Gotcha.
And then just
So what keeps you going? What keeps you going?
Honestly,
DJ.
the responses as a DJ, the responses kept me going. You know, it used to get it used to get a lot of negativity. It used to get a lot of positive vibes. It used to get a lot of encouraging comments. Might not be said to me, but said to other people. People will come to me with it. And I mean, also, really speaking of that, keeps pushing me 25 plus. I love music. Like the real music that's run the world at this point. It's obviously so. It's run the world. Everything you do in life is music. When you walk, when you talk, you clap, whatever you do, it's got some sort of rhythm going. So, and I'm just a person like I will never fall out of that. And that music is love. That is true. That's my only drug at this point.
Correct. So in terms of, there's any self-doubt at any point in time? Like you say, well, you know, I cannot do it. I cannot go on. I don't feel it going. I don't feel it doing this. You know, there's any time when you feel that way? And if you feel that way, how do you then deal with that?
To be honest, I am not a DJ that gets booked every weekend. But you know what I mean? It's got some last minute bookings or what's not. But how I deal with it, let's be real. When you're a comedy DJ, you're not always gonna get satisfaction of a booking.
Yeah.
You know, you're not always gonna get. Now this is something that happens a lot. You know what I mean? You show up to event. Some people pull the how you say, I can talk Beijing. Some people pull the pocket. You know what I mean? To pay certain DJs and think all these things are some things. Because if you're a DJ like me and you're going to event, for sure you all had conversation long before the event. So it's a booking. This was the price being arranged, whatever, plus one, whatever. And we get there now, it's something different. So something that was throw off your vibe a lot as a DJ, something that was not being prepared as, you know. So say long, if I got booking tomorrow, I go there tomorrow now. And then tell the promoter, well, buddy, I got this body came me, that body came me. We already talked about the compensation, the cash, whatever the case may be. You know, these real questions that a lot of DJs for sure will not answer or will not actually speak. But when it comes to being booked and your compensations are not, how do you say, you're not satisfied with them, for sure, it plays a lot in your mind, you know, like I coming from all Black Rock, Eagle Hall, to got all up Sick Phillip, you know, they got a car, you got to put gas in it, whatever the case may be. Like every dollar counts, for sure.
And I think it is a situation where they must be serious where business is concerned. Correct. It is a business at the end of the day. You know,
yes, we love music,
but it's not a side thing, as I said. You know, you're not just there to play around, you know, and make him out. All right, so you know, what you would say is your proudest moment so far?
My proudest moment so far was the fact that after a group, I was still able to keep going. Yeah.
After your exit from the group.
Exit from the group, because I used to tell myself, I used to doubt myself there, like, I don't know what we can do here now, because I used to have everybody else doing it. Like my manager used to do it for me a lot. Every booking I get, she used to push it. She used to talk to the whoever is that want to book me. She used to do everything. So now, like, she'd have gone for a little while. I was like, what we can do here now? But my DJ now, he felt like he played with exclusive. Yeah. He came to me and said, regular, you know, that we keep thing running, you know. I said, for real? So sure. He said, yeah, we could do this thing for real. You know what I mean? We can pull up some funds.
Of course.
Get a laptop, get a set, and we can just push.
That's
you know
good.
What I mean? Like, this thing.
It's good that you got over that hurdle and you continue to do so. So, someone who is an up and coming DJ, what advice you would give to them, DJ right now?
Anybody that looking to DJ, for sure. Please be patient.
Yes, patience.
Be patient for sure. Market yourself. Never say that you can't do it, because the biggest people of today was the smallest people before. Yeah. Everybody had a starting point. Yes, you can got struggles. You can got little things going on, but to overcome them things, take your time, be patient with your work.
I don't want to interrupt your train of thought, but that last comment about the people who are big today were small at some point in time. I want you to just repeat that, please, if you don't mind.
The people that are big today, the people that you look up to, everybody had a starting point.
Yes.
And this is not only for DJ, this is for every single person. Everybody had a starting point. And the work, they put in the work, they put in the effort, failures never get them done. You know, that's not only part of being a DJ, that's life itself.
Life itself, yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't expect to build a building like this building out here and not start with a foundation.
Yeah, that's a very powerful point.
So
very, very powerful.
So never give up. It can be straining as not only a DJ or anything. It's going to be straining. It's going to be mind-blowing. But for sure, just keep pushing. Praise Jah and keep going forward.
And that's big words, big, powerful, strong words, DJ Regular. And I really, well, before you go, I just want you to advise and tell the people where they can find you. Do that, please.
Well, I have an Instagram, Regular REGULWA _246 on IG. You could message me on there. Yes, I have a lot of requests, so don't expect that. You know, it give me a lot of conversation.
You're the man. You're the man.
So like, just when we go up in the IG, I got a lot of following me. I got pictures. I got a lot of bookings from before. So it's giving me a call, promotion, what's not.
You had mentioned a telephone number as well too.
246 242 2194.
Okay, and that's where we can find.
Correct.
Mr.
Bookings,
Regular.
anything.
Mr. Regular, blessed enough. It has been a pleasure. No doubt. No doubt, buddy. No doubt.
Thanks a lot.
Fantastic.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, for sure. Thank you very much. Thanks for bringing everyone along, just to see the inner workings and this lovely conversation.
For sure.
And keep doing your thing. Keep doing your thing. Don't stop. Right? Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you very much. Yes. And if you're now tuning in, this is DLP TV. You vibes. We having conversations with creatives. We having conversations with young business owner. We had a fantastic conversation with DJ Regular. He is in the circuit he's in the DJing circuit, and he just expressed a lot of his challenges and how he was able to climb to the top, and as we go on and we move forward, we want to welcome and introduce Mr. Dale Rowe. Rowe, bless it up. You good? Nice to see you, man. How is it there? You had a good day?
Yeah, today was a grateful day, man.
Yeah,
Any day above ground.
Yeah, man. Always sharp. Always sharp. Dale. Always sharp. Yeah, man. So, Dale. Firstly, I know I ain't really got to do a lot of introduction. Yeah, people usually see on this, but I want them to know Dale Rowe, the entrepreneur. Dale Rowe, the entrepreneur. That's what I want. So I want you to introduce yourself, introduce your business, and the business that you own. I want you to do some level of introduction.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Dale Rowe again. 32 years old, and when I was about 11, 12, I just always wanted to be in control of my own money.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at a young age, I started entrepreneurship by selling lollipops at school.
Wow. Yeah. Fantastic.
So that then sparked the interest for entrepreneurship. I started my first ever business. That was a car rental business. It's called Rose Motors. I started with one car, and then I moved to 4 cars.
Yeah.
Car rental business is tough because you have some dishonest people that would hit the vehicle, go on pay, disappear, you can't get the money. But other than that, is a good venture.
I want to take you back. I want to take you back a little bit with these lollipops.
Yeah.
Right? I want to take you back a little bit with these lollipops. Now, it might seem, you know, like small items and so forth, right? But the money builds. The money builds in a serious way. And that I believe that is one way you were able to get some lunch and stuff like that there with the lollipops. What was the brand lollipops? The bonbons. The bonbons.
Yeah,
I know the bonbons. I know the bonbons. Yeah, man. And obviously, that's venture. You said one day you just got up one day and said, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. What would have caused you to go down that road at that particular time?
To be honest, it started with chewing gums because you know, you're in class, first form, you know, and my mom used to give me $11 a day. So 3 buses, lunch, and a drink. That money done.
Money done.
So I was like, this can't work no more.
Oh,
You know, so the following week, my mom gave me the money early this Sunday, $55 for the entire week.
all right.
I said, boy, okay, no, but index. So I went down to index and I bought $5 in winter fresh chewing gum. So approach, went to school, sell them. It wasn't moving as fast as I wanted it to. And it was not making. So when I bought $5 in chewing gum, I only made about $5 in profit, so $10 in total. So it was not turning over as quickly as I wanted it to. And then it hit me, the lollipop and chewing gum, which is the bonbon. So I started with 1 pack, which carries 48, and then it had a high demand, and it moved from 48 to 96 lollipops a day.
You had any issues with receivables? I know it's a situation where a lot of people, they do the thing called trusting in Barbados. So there was any issues at that point where that is concerned? Yeah. It's good to know trust.
Trust in God.
Just in God. Okay. In God, only in God we trust. All right. So I guess that was a journey for you, right? And I'm very aware of a young man who started out that same way as well too, and now he has gone on to bigger and better things. So it's fantastic to start.
Correct.
A particular way, you know, that's from the ground up, right?
Yeah.
That's fine. So okay, I know you're also into I think decor.
Basically, event planning.
Event planning.
Correct.
In general.
Event planning.
Okay, event planning. So when you realize that, you know what, this is something that I can do.
All right, so event planning came about because I had a passion for food and beverage and service delivery.
Yeah.
Because I was a food and beverage manager. Yeah. And then planning weddings and different functions. I was like, yo, I could do this on my own. So last year, I decided to start a weekly event called Walk Up Thursday. And that event was to cater to upcoming artists, upcoming DJs, and also for their morning bands. So I would have invited different bands every week to showcase costumes. I invited upcoming artists to showcase their talent, and I also use a lot of upcoming DJs. One of the biggest Walk Up Thursdays that we had would have been with a well-known artist, Plumpy Boss.
Well-known artist, okay.
So that's how it basically started.
Okay, so planning of the events. So this includes you know, the setup and everything.
Correct. So we would do we would decorate the space, balloons, lights, DJs, artists. We bring in 4-day morning band, floor show, top band. So it's a wide range. It also includes catering. We also bring in catering as well.
Oh, I mean, okay. So we got empty space here, right? Empty space. That vision to create the magic. You know, that is something for you. I don't even know where to start, if you ask me. But to come there, there's an empty space, and you're able to fill those spaces. That is fine. That is fantastic. From start to finish.
Yes.
No doubt about it. So we delved into a little bit of the history, right? Let's now go to the present. Well, it might be the past as well too. But in terms of failures and setbacks, how do you overcome those?
Honestly, I pick up myself and I dust off really quick. You know, so if I bought a hurdle or I bought a something that stops that momentum, which we will consider a failure, I don't look at a failure as a failure. I look at a failure as a learning lesson that I could have done this better or differently. You know, so my failures, you'll feel the emotions, you know, you'll go through the emotions, but then what is the silver lining in that? What is the lesson you were supposed to learn?
So you didn't lose, you learned.
You learn.
Correct.
So it's how you approach it.
You know? Yeah. Some light is always at the end of that tunnel.
Correct.
For sure. So I want you to just give me one example. You know, you would say, well, you know what? It was a setback here. You know, and I was able to just regulate my emotions and go forward.
Which event? Let's see. Let me see. All right. So in COVID, I decided to bring in a vehicle. So I reached out to some suppliers in Japan. They sent up the vehicle, and then I had a deadline as it relates to getting the duties and the
of course. So because the customer obviously, you know,
and then
having to go out here,
and then I end up losing the sale.
She was.
So then money went down the drain, and I was like, shh. So now I know the do's and the don'ts. You know, most recent last year we brought in an artist, like I said, Planty Boss. And we just had some minor setbacks. But overall, we learned, and I am grateful for those failures.
Those failures.
Because if those failures don't happen, you would not know how to propel forward.
Of course. So in terms of self-doubt, and you mentioned the failures already, in terms of self-doubt, how you deal with that? I know there's a little voice that comes into your head sometimes. You say, nah, I can't really do this here. No, this is really,
honestly,
how do you do that? No self-doubt. Fantastic. Whoa.
Yeah, honestly, like when I meditate in the morning, and then I start my day quiet. If an idea comes up, I would write it. Then I would look at all of the different angles to accomplish it.
Whoa.
And if I can't accomplish it right away, I would accomplish it at some point. So a perfect example, in 2021, I love Christmas. Big on Christmas. And I was saying, I would love to do a big motorcade on Christmas morning.
This was back in 2021. All right.
So I was like, I would love to do this. But then one or two doubts came up, like, you can't do that. But then I was like, how will I do it? How will I execute? And I kept asking myself that question. And then, strangely enough, in 2024, I said, you know what? Look, boy, get up. Reach out to some people and just make it happen.
I just made it happen. Okay.
And God opened all the doors. So self-doubt, no.
So I mean, it seems you are involved. You have your hands in a lot of things. You know, I mean, how do you organize? You know, I mean, there's so many things that you seem to be involved with. I know you mentioned meditation on the morning. How long is that? Was your
20 minutes?
20 minutes. 20 minutes of meditation. Fantastic. Okay, so you start your day. You look at obviously challenges that you will have to face on this particular day.
No challenges.
No challenges.
No.
Okay, no challenges.
When you set up your day or your morning thinking that you're gonna have challenges, you have challenges.
But these are the challenges from the day before, you know. Or do you just say, you know what? Those are the challenges from the day before. this can be a great thing.
Great,
So you gotta start with a positive vibe
Yeah.
all the time. So
Yeah.
as young people, we gotta start with that
Positive, yeah.
positive. But you gotta be realistic though. We gotta be realistic and say, we know what, this is the challenge we face here.
Correct.
But you know what? Let's try to be more solution based
Cool.
than anything else. I got you. Okay. Okay, so your inspirations. What are your inspirations in terms of the work you do in terms of the event planning? What inspired you? Who were the people that inspired you and influenced you to move forward with this particular thing?
Honestly, Curtis Jackson.
Curtis Jackson.
Yeah.
Okay. 50 Cent. 50 Cent.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Reason being,
Mhm.
he started as he was a troubled youngster.
Mhm.
Lost his mom early, and then he transitioned from that life into an artist, and then he moved from an artist to owning a record label, and he moved from owning a record label to writing books.
And I won't say he was a gunshot victim
Yes,
a good couple of times, you
Yeah.
know. So that was another setback.
Yeah.
But he was able to continue to
Correct.
scale those hurdles. So he's someone who would have influenced you
Yes.
going forward. Always keep going. Huh?
Yeah.
Don't just lay down and play dead. Always get up
Correct.
and go. Now, you're in a creative space when you're planning events and so forth. You ever had a creative block? You ever went to a space or an event or a place where an event will be held and you say, you know what, I don't know. I don't know how I can really set up this event. I don't know how I'm going to deal with this situation here. You've ever had situations like that?
Honestly, no creative blocks, to be honest, because
Wow.
from the time I get into a space, my mind always thinking like, I could do this here, I could move this, we could put lighting here, we could, so my mind always going.
Always going.
Yeah, so like I might be sitting and people might say, well, you look so vexed or well, you look so serious. It's not that I'm serious, it's just that I am thinking, what is the easier way? What is the best way to do something?
I mean, with event planning, I'm assuming you have to deal with the artists as well too.
Yeah.
So you have to deal with some of the requirements. So now I know that some of the artists, they require certain things to be put in their room backstage, and I know how that goes. They can be somewhat demanding at times, but how do you deal with those personalities?
Honestly, I'm a perfectionist, so I love things done in a particular way. So when I meet persons that like things in a particular way, we as a people like to tend to say, well, man, he too picky, she or da da da.
Yeah.
But I put myself in that person's shoe, and if they have whatever requests, I'm gonna give you the request. But what I want to know and what I expect is for you then to deliver that product.
Gotcha. All right, so okay, I know you mentioned the self-doubt. What is something throughout this journey? What was something that was surprising that you would have learned about yourself through the work that you currently do?
The power to that when I go to someone for idea, people always buy in. So I learned that of most
Persuasion.
Yeah, I won't say persuasion. I would say that when I bring an idea, it always get by. A lot of people always buy into the idea because people say like, it's a good idea. I think that I can help in this area or I can help in that area. So in 2021, I wanted to do a back to school drive. In the back to school drive, I just did stationery. And then I reached out to a couple of business people that I know, and then we collaborated, and then it came off really well. So then the following year, which is in 2022, I was like, yo, you thinking small? Why not? Why not think bigger?
Scale it up.
And take it to another level. And then God is good again.
Yeah. So you thought that was a little level of self-doubt there a little bit? What I was getting?
Just doing it. Not self-doubt, playing it.
Playing a little safe. Playing
Yeah.
a little safe.
Yeah,
Playing a little safe. It's
playing
not really
safe.
self-doubt. Like, I can't do this at all. It's just, I want to stick. I'm a little risk averse
Correct.
at that particular time. But you were able, obviously, to overcome that and say, you know what? I can do this thing.
Correct.
I can do this thing. Big.
And the reason why I say that I don't have self-doubt because like my 9 to 5, I'm a financial advisor.
Yes.
And we are not paid a salary.
It's commission.
We are paid straight commission.
Commission based.
So my job, I can't have self-doubt.
Yeah.
I have to see the prospect, approach the prospect, and deliver.
You can get a little nose too.
A lot of
nose, right? You can get a lot of nose. Yeah. So you got to just keep going. I think from what I'm getting and what I'm hearing from you is that ability to be not down and not stay down, but to keep going again. And I think that is something that we must continue to preach to the younger generation for sure. Just don't stay down. There's always that light at the end of the tunnel. Now we mentioned the younger people and so forth, right? So I'm gonna ask you the question: a younger person, and they're looking to get into the businesses in which you would have gotten into. What advice would you give to the younger person?
First and foremost, when it comes to going after a goal or a dream, the first bit of advice I would give: do not let outside influences say no, you cannot.
No, you cannot.
Because we might have a mom, a dad, a brother, a sister, a wife, a husband, somebody that might say, man, Ramon, you can't do that, man. I don't think so. Because they would have not accomplished it, or nobody they know accomplish it. The reason why I say that, because when I look at a lot of the greats, we could use Steve Harvey for example. Steve Harvey could not speak well.
Yes.
And they thought that he was going to be a mechanic or, and Steve Harvey has his own show.
Yeah.
And we look at Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
So the reason why I use Bolt, because when he went to his first Olympics, he came last.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. Done and dusted.
And then
done and dusted. Yes.
After that lesson, he stayed persistent. He put in all the hard work. He created a plan, and he stuck by that plan. So young entrepreneurs, young anything, create that plan. Know what you want, manifest what you want, and do not let no one tell you that you can't do it. Because if I used to believe in my friends or my family when they say, man, you're not too big, boy, you can't do that, I must would have still been a porter washing pots and pans.
Yeah.
So, I like risk, and I will gamble big.
Of course.
And the reason why I love risk, because we have one life, and when my time comes and they ask me what I did on the earth, I can be held accountable and said, with pride, that I would have empowered people, I would have inspired young people to start businesses, I would have inspired somebody to, if Ro could do it, I could do it.
Yeah. And you have to be mindful to who you tell those big dreams to.
Yeah, for sure.
Some people can be pretty negative. So you must be careful who you share your vision. Yeah. And some people, they can't see that vision.
Yeah.
You can see that vision, but they cannot see that vision for sure. So you must be mindful and careful as well too, as a young person sharing that big dream. Okay, so currently, well, let me ask now, what's the proudest moment so far? I know you have a lot of proud moments. I can tell you that gift drive, 25th of December, I can tell you, that was fantastic. Yeah. That was really, really, really good. I know that was one of them.
Yeah.
Give me another one. Yeah. Give me another one.
My proudest moment would have been when Mr. Thorne announced me as the Democratic Labour Party candidate for the city of Bridgetown.
Yes.
The reason why I said that, when I was at Wesley Hall, I used to admire Barbados.
Yeah.
And all of the guys that national heroes, but mainly Mr. Barrow. And then as I got older, I would have met members of parliament when I was at the youth service, which would have been Ronald Jones, and Esther Boyasuku. So I would have met those persons when I was in youth service. And then, part of my life was like, I think politics is the way to go for me. And then when I received the great news, I was extremely happy, because here is a boy from humble beginnings making this major step,
of course,
at age 32. I think it's my proudest moment, and I love the fact that I have the support of the opposition leader, Mr. Ralph Thorne. I think that he's a fantastic individual. So that's my proudest moment, is to serve with him.
And I got concur as well too, boy, in a serious, strong way. I must concur. Okay, so your work, your event planning, when you have completed this particular event or completed setup for this event, we want the people you would have done this event for, how do you want them to feel? How do you want them to feel? What type of, you want to feel joy? You want them to be proud? What is that feelings we want them to have?
Anything that I get involved in, I always want to over deliver. So when you come or you experience, and you'll be like, yo, boy, that was good. Because it's nothing better than word of mouth. So once you could deliver on word of mouth, once you could impress your customers or your audience, they will do the rest for you.
Okay, so that is something, I guess, that you feel extremely proud about as well too, because you told me that you are rather meticulous. So anyone in that space, anyone that is like that, I was thinking too, you're gonna clash, but it don't seem so. It appears that you love it. You love that challenge. You love that challenge. Because go ahead.
To be successful in life, we cannot think about our egos. Despite I like what I like, and I like things how I like things. When we working as a team, we have to look at the holistic goal. What is the goal? The goal, the widely important goal, is to exceed the customer's expectation. So whatever plans we need to put in place, if I go up for you once, I say, man, Ramon, boy, just get me so, vexed.
Annoyed.
When we come to plan and execute, our customers will not know. They will say, yo, boy, that team was fantastic. That was well delivered.
Well delivered, for sure. I mean, where creatives are concerned, I mean, you guys do a fantastic job, because I don't know what you see or how you see it, but to be very frank, I get into this space here, and I do not have a clue what to do. If to move this here, move that here, what colors. So I mean, there are it's theme focus and so forth, but I give big kudos to you guys, because it's extremely difficult. And the thing about it is, people who don't have that creative eye, they are like, wow, that is amazing. But to you guys now, that is standard and routine. It is.
A part of my life when I was 16, I used to write music and sing,
Oh, okay.
So like creative, that creative spirit was always there. I would have performed at Calvin pageants, BCC Got Talent, EOB Got Talent. So I perform on a lot of stages.
So let me go down the line and listen down, right? You hold on. A salesman.
Yes, financial advice.
Yeah, financial. No. We start from the.
You started from.
We start with bombs.
Yeah,
bombs.
Right?
Okay, good. Yeah. So we start there, salesman.
Yes.
Right. Then you own some hired vehicles or that. Correct. Which tell me the line. Get on the line here.
So after the bombs, we then started
a successful bomb business.
Successful. Correct. Made $250 a week.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Serious. So we start there.
Yeah. So that, and then I moved. I went into one car, Then it moved to 2 cars, and then I was like, yo, I will go into the party rentals. So then party rentals started. I bought a 15 by 15 above ground pool. So I was managing a property in Golf Club Road, and I started events. That's how we started events from in that time. And I bought in COVID, a guy had a jumping tent for sale. I bought a jumping tent, bought many more. So it just, you know, when I see an opportunity,
cascade. Oh, that is totally amazing. So we're starting to wind down now.
Correct.
Right? And I just want you to promote yourself. I want you to promote your business. I know you're into event plan. Do you have a name for the particular business? Just promote it and tell the viewers where you can be found and how they can find you.
All right. Good evening again. So Diamond Designs, contact number 233-5546. So basically we can come in, decorate the whole event. We can provide DJs, entertainers, jumping tent, popcorn machine. We also provide catering. In addition to that, you need taxi service. We can provide that, you know, a shuttle service to and fro to the event. And the main business is I have a very good savings plan. It doubles the money you save. So, you know, in addition to doubling the money you save in a 25-year period, what it does, if you were supposed to pass, your family will get that we guarantee to give you. So you can reach out to me, 233-5546, and have a good night, everyone.
Before you go, I want you to repeat that number again.
233-5546.
Yes, please.
4.5% interest. The best interest on the market.
Listen, big man. It was an absolute pleasure. It was a blessing of all time. I can see you again. You don't know. I can see you again. There's no problem. It's fantastic having you. Yes, fantastic. Thank you very much for coming on the show, bro.
Yes.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Yes. So here we have it. The future belongs to the bold, the creative, the diverse. The future belongs to those who dare to imagine and build something better. Let us build that future together. This is DLP TV. It was an absolute pleasure having conversations with creatives and young business owners. You vibes. Until next week, good night.